Imagine the fear. You're behind the wheel when your car speeds up without explanation, unable to stop, creating a potential death trap. Our chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross first reported on scenarios like this described by some Toyota owners late last year. A historic safety recall followed. But tonight, the company has a new problem on its hands. Brian?
Terry, it is yet another massive recall after a recall last year of 4.2 million cars with suspect floor mats that Toyota then said would fix the problem of its runaway cars. Tonight's action involves what it says are some 2.3 million cars and a rare case of sticking gas pedals. The cars include the Camry and the Corolla. But some say it still may not be a complete fix of a problem that continues to be linked with serious accidents and deaths.
Someone upside down in the car, and they've been in there for over a minute now.
It was the day after Christmas in the Dallas suburb of Southlake. Police say the 2008 Toyota Avalon left no skid marks or evidence of braking as it sped across a field, hit a tree, went through a fence, and ended up in a pond upside down.
There's no way, he would have gone through that fence if he wasn't going fast.
All 4 people in the car died in the accident. Police say there was no sign of driver error or alcohol.
They were evidently friends and attended church together and were out doing related work that day when the accident occurred.
Federal safety investigators have now joined the investigation into what went wrong, but they already know it was not the floor mats. They were found in the car's trunk, where Toyota had instructed owners to put them.
Are some of the problems caused by floor mats? Sure, yes they are. But we continue to find evidence from a variety of consumers who've come to us with incidents that cannot be explained by a floor mat.
Your car begins to accelerate, seemingly on its own.
When ABC News first revealed the problem, we found reports of almost 2,000 accidents and as many as 16 deaths possibly connected to the runaway Toyotas. But since the much publicized recall connected to the floor mats, there have been reports now of almost 60 new cases.
We clearly think that Toyota has a larger problem on their hands that involves the electronics with these vehicles.
In its public statements last year, Toyota corporate officers strongly rejected any speculation that their cars had an electronic problem or a computer glitch.
There is no evidence to support these theories, and we want our owners and potential customers to have the facts.
After about a half mile to a mile, the car started accelerating on its own.
But the New Jersey owner of this Toyota Avalon says what happened to him cannot be explained by a floor mat. Just took off on it?
It just took off. It seemed like the more I hit the brake, the harder it wanted to accelerate. So I knew I needed to control the car. It started accelerating, started going faster and faster.
Kevin Haggerty of Pittstown, New Jersey, says his car shot up to 65 miles an hour.
Without me pushing on the accelerator at all.
At all? Haggerty said he was able to get his car under control only because he had seen ABC News reports on what to do if it happened. Shift to neutral.
Here's what you need to do. Put your foot on the brake hard. Put the car to neutral. Car will stop. The engine will rev. Once you're stopped, turn off the car and you're safe.
Shifting in and out of neutral, Haggerty was able to head to the local Toyota dealer so they could see for themselves what was going on.
I called my cell phone, I talked to the service manager, I told him I had an emergency, the car was accelerating, I had a tough time controlling the car. I'm going to bring this in, I want them to see this firsthand. And that's what I did.
You were determined to get to the dealership?
I was determined to get into the dealership.
The service manager was waiting outside in the lot.
I pulled up right to here, I stopped the car, and I kept it in neutral, and the brakes were smoking and the tires were smoking just from riding the brakes for the last 5 miles. And I got out of the car, service manager was here right, and I pulled up.
When you pulled it was still so they knew?
They knew they had a problem. I got out of the car and I said,
it was still racing right here?
Yep, I stepped back and I told him to get in, and this is what's happening, it's happening right now. And he confirmed it.
Haggerty says the service manager saw the problem, and on directions from Toyota, replaced the gas pedal and throttle and their electronic sensors.
This case is pivotal. We now have the kind of evidence that we've always suspected has been going on based on many other reports. We now have that evidence right in front of Toyota. They're witnessing it, and they can't walk away from that.
Tonight, Toyota says the recall of the sticking gas pedals should cover Haggerty's problem. But Haggerty says his gas pedal was never stuck. and questions whether this latest recall still falls short.
So the credibility of the company's on the line with this, and it's a huge problem that must get solved soon.
Haggerty got his car back, but still worries about its safety, especially if his wife had been driving when it began to run away.
I thought about that. If my kids were in the car, my wife was in the car, I'd rather even think about it. But yeah, it could have been, it may not have happened the way it happened. You know, it could have been a lot more serious. Thank God I was able to control the car and bring it in.
In its statements, Toyota does not claim it has fixed the problem with Thursday's recall and says it will continue to investigate other incidents of what it calls unwanted acceleration, including those, it says, reported by ABC News. Terry?
Great work, Brian.
It may be more than the floor mats. As we have reported in recent weeks, Toyota has conducted the largest safety recall in its history. The owners of 3.8 million Toyota and Lexus vehicles were warned of potential problems with floor mats, which could cause the accelerator to get stuck and the automobile to speed up out of control. But late today, the Department of Transportation put out this statement: removal of the mats is simply an interim measure, not a remedy to the underlying defect in the vehicles. An underlying defect? Our chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross, has been looking into this. Brian?
Well, Charlie, federal safety officials said today the underlying cause of the some 2,000 so-called runaway Toyotas remains under active investigation. Until today, Toyota had solely blamed either the wrong floor mats or driver error. The government statement comes as a growing number of Toyota owners are coming forward to insist that floor mats don't explain the mystery of what happened to them. The outcry began even before the tragic accident on this highway outside San Diego in August. A Lexus 2009, driven by an off-duty California Highway Patrol officer, was out of control.
Our accelerator's stuck. We're in trouble. There's no brake.
A passenger called 911 from the back seat.
We're approaching an intersection. Hold on, please.
All 4 people in the Lexus died after it hit another car, crashed into an embankment, and burst into flames.
Right here.
Toyota said the problem was the wrong-sized all-weather rubber floor mat in the car, which caught and then held down the gas pedal. The company ordered a huge floor mat recall that federal officials urged consumers to follow. But across the country, some owners, including Paul and Saskia McLean of California, say floor mats can't be the only cause of the problem. The McLeans were driving in the Mojave Desert when their Toyota Highlander shot up to almost 100 miles an hour. Their car did not have the recalled floor mats. And you're certain there was nothing underneath the gas pedal?
I looked.
Yeah.
I looked. I bent over and looked. No, there was nothing.
In Portland, Oregon, Mariana Eisner's Lexus crashed into a truck after shooting out of control on the freeway this September. She says she had already heard about the floor mat problem and made a point of checking hers.
The mat was nowhere near the accelerator.
Some owners are now suing Toyota, claiming there must be a glitch in the basic electronic computer system that controls the throttle.
We've all experienced computer glitches and using our own personal computers where something just happens, we don't know why.
Federal investigators say they have not been able to find any such defect in 6 separate investigations. But the number of runaway Toyota complaints sharply increased after the electronic system was put into use in 2002, according to safety analyst Sean Kane.
This problem can't be explained solely by floor mats.
In a statement posted online, a Toyota official discounted reports of electronic or other possible defects.
There is no evidence to support these theories.
But today, federal safety officials said Toyota was wrong to suggest its cars had been given a clean bill of health by the government. So the investigation of this mystery continues, Charlie.
But Brian, when you read this statement that came from the Department of Transportation this afternoon that says the floor mats are not a remedy to the underlying defect in the vehicles, but they don't identify what that defect is. Sounds like they don't know.
We've talked to some of them today, and they tell us what it involves is the design of the driver's side floor and perhaps the design of the gas pedal, as first reported by the Los Angeles Times. As to the electronics, they say they haven't found a problem, but the investigation continues, and they say that doesn't mean there isn't a problem. They haven't found one.
Still leaves a real question, it seems to me, in the people who own Toyotas as to what's wrong.
It's a huge question, and they call it a very potentially dangerous situation.
All right, Brian Ross, thanks very much.